Two fragrances that are cheaper and better. Cheaper than the originals, and one of these I think is better than Lattafa's Badi' al-Oud Sublime. Let's talk about it.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. We're going to be talking about fragrances that I picked up in the late of 2023, about December. A couple other fragrances really had me distracted and put less emphasis on these two. The other ones that I really fell in love with is called Epoque Artistique. We're talking about the brand of Khadlaj. Epoque Artistique has to be one of my favorite from the brands. I mean, I beat that one to death with the amounts of mentions, because I genuinely love that fragrance, and I rocked it for like almost after, if I tested a fragrance and it dried off or it dissipated, I'd spray that on. I've been spraying it onto bed actually as well, but it's something that I want to wear more often. But as a reviewer and fragrance testing, I don't really get the possibility to do that as often as I would like to. The sacrifices I make for you guys. Yeah, real problems, right? So today we're going to be talking about two fragrances, and one is called Noir, and the other one's called L'Imaginaire and Noir. Both of these are inspired by expensive fragrances, niche fragrances actually, that retail for over $200. And both of these fragrances in the States, at least during the time of making this video, is like under 50 bucks. Scent profile for both of these definitely smell more expensive. I would classify these as more of like inspired buys or as twists. There's definitely one that's going to be stronger than the other, and I want to start off with that strong one first, and it's called L'Imaginaire. So currently in Michigan, it's about -5 degrees. It's the winter time right now, and this is the perfect time for this scent profile. Oud Kuhl by Guerlain is literally smells like oud and kuhl. If you're from Middle Eastern descent, or if you live in the Middle East or you speak Arabic, kuhl essentially means like this charcoal-based eyeliner, and it's been used in like centuries. So the prophets back in the day used to put kuhl, which is essentially this charcoal-based powder, and they would put it around their eyes to kind of line the eyes and serve as a protection from sand and dust, sandstorms, etc. They all live the sandy regions. And so essentially what this smells like is a combination of using that charcoal along with some other nuances like a super sweet caramel, or praline I should say, with a wet woods oak moss, some oud, and jammy rose. When you look up some of the information for oud kuhl, you're not going to find too much information. Per the website, they give you this description of like leather, charcoal, tinged, praline, oak moss, and I get a lot of that in here as well. There's definitely leather, there's patchouli, there's going to be the sandalwood, vetiver, but more so as well that's not mentioned here is the super jammy rose. It's like rose combined with this super thick praline and wet woods oak moss. And what this really reminded me of almost immediately, but 10 times better in my opinion for me, and we're talking about quality factor here, is going to be the same way that rose is used in a specific fragrance, which is Badi' al-Oud Amethyst. So Badi' al-Oud Amethyst is more towards like an atomic rose twist. It's not as jammy, it's not as sweet, and it's not as refined as this. This is better than Badi' al-Oud Amethyst. As far as scent profile and what I enjoy more, this just seems more well balanced. It's not as screechy as that one, although the scent profile, it has something that, shares a similarity to Badi' al-Oud Amethyst 100%. But it's not going to be distinctive. They're both inspired by our twists of different fragrances, but we're just talking about the use of the rose. Super addicting, super sweet, jammy rose with some of that smoky incense and oud. That's essentially what you get. It's like kuhl, which is the eyeliner mixed with rose, or jammy rose and oud. For this fragrance to work though, it's gotta be rocked in the cooler climate for sure. Cooler climates, I'm not gonna say only because you can still get away with this, but during the winter time, during the cold, this just smells wow, like something else in the air. Jammy rose, oudi, incensey, sexy stuff. Wet woods, oak moss, yeah, really good stuff. So that's what I think about L'Imaginaire. If you enjoy jammy rose, oud, Middle Eastern scents, you're gonna absolutely love this. If you like Badi' al-Oud Amethyst, you need this. You need this. This is a much better take on that similar style jammy rose. I have to be clear though, they are two separate scent profiles. This one's thicker, denser, and just smells better in my opinion though. The execution is much better. All right, so that's what I think about L'Imaginaire. The next one we're gonna talk about is called Noir, okay? Noir gives me this ambery, incensey, Middle Eastern vibe, which reminds me a lot of Velvet Desert Oud by Dolce & Gabbana. Notes of this specific fragrance include top of raspberry rose, middle notes of incense, cadewood, and in the base we've got vanilla Amber Extreme and Oud Accord. So the Amber Extreme actually makes this one last a little bit longer than Velvet Desert Oud by Dolce & Gabbana. That, in fact, like on me personally, it doesn't last more than like 4 hours. That's why I don't have a lot of those exclusive lineups, while a lot of them smell amazing. And I could say the same thing for some of the Privé of Armani. So Dolce & Gabbana's Privé or higher end line and Armani's higher end line, a lot of their fragrances just don't perform. It's a shame because a lot of them smell really good. This one gave me more performance out of it. I'm not crazy about the scent profile of the original in itself because of the price tag, the performance, etc. So the scent profile of something like this is just going to be basically around this ambery, incense, oud, and musk vibe. That's essentially what the original is. Rather simple, but the execution is done in a high quality fashion. This one's pretty simple though. If you enjoy amber fragrances, this does it in a Middle Eastern way. Smells more expensive, but with most amber fragrances, they're not too complex, especially if they're just centered around amber, because amber in itself is kind of like this fantasy note. It basically smells like a warm version of like musks, essentially. I mean, if that's even an accurate way to describe it. But nevertheless, it gives you like this aura. It smells like a warm, inviting, soft, but this also adds this incense and oud to that. So it's a Middle Eastern version of an amber fragrance. Total longevity for both of these fragrances is above average. This one gave me about 7 hours, and this one gave me easily to the next day on clothing. On skin, I could smell this for like 8 to 10 hours. So this is borderline too much. Honestly, you got to be careful with the sprayer on this one, but it's so magical during the winter time. And this one right here gave me about a good 6 to 7 hours on skin, and on clothing I could smell it for up to 8 hours. A relatively softer fragrance, but not in terms of how well or how long this lasts. This is right on par. Actually, this is above par in comparison to the original. With a lot of ambery fragrances, you either A, go nose blind, or they're not gonna really last as long as some of the other fragrances because of the notes or the density of some of the notes that are used in the fragrances. Nevertheless, for the price, for both of these, you're getting more than what you paid for. L'Imaginaire, Jammy Rose, Incense, Kohl, Charcoal vibes, so freaking unique, very different, and high quality smelling. Both of these smell high quality. If anything I described sounds like something you'd be interested in, consider checking one of these out. They definitely smell more expensive than the price tag. And that's all I have to say about both of these fragrances. Let me know down in the comments what you think about some of these newer fragrances from Khadlaj. Are you about it? Have you tried anything? Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and until the next video, peace. Thank you. I swear one of these days you're gonna watch the whole rack just fall because I'm so goddamn chaotic.